Join me as I chat behind the scenes with the Phiesty Chef Cheri. We discuss all things that matter relating to comfort food and fostering friendships and how they're connected. Catch laughs and real emotions, delicious dishes, and catering secrets. She'll also highlight how the pandemic has positively influenced private businesses such as catering, but learn just how positive relationships can inspire success. Let me welcome Chef Cheri, CEO of Phiesty Foods.
So the whole essence of talking today is obviously to share the world, Chef Cheri and Phiesty Foods, but we're in this pandemic, obviously, and
right.
We have so many people that simply need healing. And ultimately, you have such a unique perspective of being able to, and I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody, but you have this perspective of being on the West Coast and, having Southern roots, and then having the one thing that really brings everyone together. And that's food. That's
food.
Just the bottom line. It's food.
It will do it every time.
I just, why don't you take a minute to just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about Phiesty Food and why you started it.
Well, my name is Chef Cheri, and I am an Air Force brat. I am an Army veteran. And when I was growing up, my mother's house was that house on the corner. We came in for popcorn and popsicles and things in the summer when it was hot outside. And so in keeping that tradition of how I was raised and mimicking, the things that I was taught by my mother, my house became that house. And so, no better place to know where your children are than when they're at home with you. So I opened up that home, to allow my children and their friends to be there in what I felt was a safe environment, a loving environment. I always had food and snacks that turned into, oh, hey, can Miss Cheri come and make spaghetti for the basketball team? Oh, hey, can Miss Cheri come and do barbecue for football? And so then from that, my house became that house on the corner as well. And so, sporting events at my children's high school for all of the various teams that they were on. My kids were athletes on multiple teams: basketball, football, wrestling, track and field. And so when it was time to have that sports banquet at the end of the year, I was the one that they called. And I've always loved, to feed and to serve people food, and to hear that hush that falls over the room, and all you hear is the fork to the plate, the fork to the plate, and that's when I go, I got you now. So, and it's a thing of pride. I think for mothers, a thing of love, I think for most people, when you're serving or you're doing something in hospitality or loving kindness to other people, that you would be able to warm someone's belly. In the South, we might not have much money. We might not be able to buy you a plane ticket, but on your travels, you can come in here and get a warm plate of food. We're going to love you up. We're going to hug you real good. We'll give you the $2 we got. And you go on your merry way, and know that you've been loved, So,
yeah.
So it stems from that. And so then I met you when my daughter was preparing to go off to college, and it turned into, I'm going to go visit my child. And that turned into, since you coming to visit, let's feed the children a little bit, let's get them some food. So, and that relationship just, has hands down been more than worth its weight in gold. And, as a treasured family member that you are now, and the ability to be able to, miss my child from afar, but be close enough not to be interfering, but just feed the babies right quick, and then come on back.
Right.
See you next month. But I think the food is healing.
Yeah, for sure. And I can definitely say that feeding my belly was one of those things that you never had to even ask if you can stop by. So again, obviously, we can see the passion in you and where it's come from. That's just such a deeply rooted thing.
Yeah.
But I can say, and again, and we joined, and as quickly as we could get Chef Cheri on, I was like, oh, I got about 30 minutes. Let me hop on and get in the call with her. We're just very fortunate. And that's ultimately the feeling that, I've had as, you're one of my very best friends, for those of the world that doesn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just been a wonderful blessing to have you in my life. One, because again, you don't have that deep rooted sense of friendship. And that's what we're talking about, is fostering friendships and how that relates to food.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you are like the best cook happens to work out really nicely. So just so everyone knows, I have no problem with eating well. And if there's any issue, Chef Cheri will be on a flight all the way from California. So not a lot of people can say they have a chef that can cook just about every single genre of food. I mean, what was the last thing you cooked up that somebody probably would have never thought about?
Well, I did a Lebanese repast. A good friend of mine, he's become like a little brother. Well, you know how military people are. We know no strangers, because we can't afford to be strangers. Wherever you go, you have to fit in, you have to adapt, you have to overcome, you got to assimilate, you got to, make friends, because, you're constantly on the move. And so when I came here to California, I met a gentleman who's now my little brother. And, because we always make friends very fast. And so I said, okay. I said, well, we're challenging me, aren't we? So, because I've always said, well, if you'd like to do an intimate dinner for two, just throw a dart at the map and, we'll see what we come up with. Well, true to form, these people are Lebanese. So when I tell you that bulgur wheat and parsley make the best tabbouleh on the planet.
Oh, wow.
I made this tabbouleh for this repast. It was for 100 people. So, that was a lot of flat leaf parsley, a lot. And I served that tabbouleh, shoulders back, chest out. When I put it on the table, and I said, okay, let's go. At the end of that repast, the satisfaction for me was that some of the Lebanese women who were there at the repast said, the tabbouleh is fantastic.
Wow.
So that's worth gold. My gold stars from my clients come when they say, that was it.
That's good.
You hit the nail on the head. And it's a lesson, it's a learning lesson for me. And I have always, a lot of my recipes have been crafted from someone's grandmother. When I was in college, my first pound cake, I went to school in Ohio. Yeah, in the Midwest. And every weekend during football season, we would go to Tom Williams' grandmother's house. Her name was Honey. Okay. I make this honey pound cake. I have been making it since I'm 17. I'm 56 now. I make this pound cake. I know how to make it eyes closed. I don't need the recipe. I've made it so many times that I have now, and that's what I call it, is my honey pound cake. But Miss Honey taught me how to make that pound cake from scratch. I have a girlfriend whose grandmother was from Lynette, Alabama, Lisa Hightower, and I have her grandmother's red velvet recipe. And that's that red velvet recipe that you love so much. That's the one that when I brought the red velvet cupcakes to practice.
The cupcakes, yes.
But I like to get it authentic. I like to get it as real as possible. And from people who have actually taken the time to perfect that thing, because it's their expression of love to their family. So You know,
Wow.
same thing with biscuits, the same thing with certain stews. You know, I have my own crafted clam chowder since being out here, you know, in California with all this sourdough bread everywhere. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm getting my clam chowder together, honey.
Right, right.
And so, you know, now I have my clam chowder that I serve in a little BOUDIN, shout out to San Francisco, bread bowl. But yeah, I just like for it to be as authentic, as made with love. You know, I'm real butter, real sugar, real cream, full fat, full flavor, big girl. Just from the South. That's what it is.
That's powerful, you know, authentic and full of love. And I think that you know, that anyone that knows you knows that is you with a little bit of jazz. And there's a reason that you feisty foods, and you know, people are like, wait, how do I pronounce that? And you know, kind of a deal. But that's you. And you know, we got to talk about the whole full sugar and full cream kind of deal, because you know, you got a lot of vegans out there in California too. So what do you do for these vegans? And you already know, I can say right now from experience, you know, Chef Cheri has gone from, you know, my diet, which is now vegan. And
baby, it's been a journey, hasn't it?
She didn't necessarily like it, but I can tell you what, she came in full force and could feed 100 people. Here you go. We're gonna substitute this, and this.
Oh,
yes. Still tasted like it was soul food from, you know, 1948. And so I just, you know, but what do you say to people like, what is feisty foods, and what do you say to people that go, yeah, I'm vegan or I'm gluten-free or any of these things? How can that talk a little bit about both of those things?
Well, I will tell you this. Feisty, I pledged a academic sorority in college, and my sorority mother twinned me with another soror sister, and so it was Feisty and Finster, and I got feisty because I got my name Honest. Now that's the Feisty,
right?
Really feisty, for real. And in my current environment, I had to be, so I was. But because our sorority's name was Philalethian, right, and we were a philanthropic social, you know, sorority, everything, you know, in our sorority was PH. All the F's were replaced with a PH. So when I was looking for something to name my catering service, I decided that I was going to name it after my sorority name. It had befit me all these years. It is a part of my character, part of my personality. Feisty allows me to pay great attention to detail. Feisty allows me to color outside of the lines. Feisty allows me to break some of the rules, to bend others, to bring to you a completely curated culinary experience that will not be cookie cutter, will not be like anybody else's culinary experience. I'm not going to throw a bunch of food together. I don't go to Sam's Club or Costco and buy a bunch of items that are already pre-made and put it on a tray. No, I am in that kitchen at 2 a.m. grinding out the best champagne buttercream frosting that you've ever had in your life. And that's why it's feisty. Now, when I came to California in 2014, you got to learn to like an avocado. Now, I still don't care for avocados, but I make a mean avocado toast. Please don't misunderstand it. So then it was like, okay, now I'm doing corporate gigs. Now we're doing lunch service for 50 staffers in an office, right? But, you know, I have 3 that don't do pork. Okay, easy enough. But I have 15 that are vegan. You know, I have 8 that are vegetarian, and everybody's got to eat. And the days of, well, just give them a salad and let them be on their merry way, as you know, is dead. Nobody's trying to hear that. Nobody's trying to hear that. And I will have to say that it was absolute, just cultural and ignorance on my part, because I just not had been exposed to some things. You know, Mississippi is not the diabetes capital the obesity capital of the world for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Over there, they're dropping the whole hog in the ground. They're pulling it up, slapping it down to barbecue. I'm going to need some collard greens, some mac and cheese, and some cornbread, and some potato salad. So that's 3 starches on the plate. And then nobody's mad. Nobody's mad. We also ate heavily like that because it's a cultural thing. That thing's got to sustain you because you got to work a 12-hour, 16-hour day to include travel back and forth where you may have been walking somewhere. Right. And then you've got to come back home and then prepare and cook or get ready for your next day's work. So there's a reason and a purpose to why we ate heavy like we did. But nowadays, that's not the same necessity. So we don't have to eat the same way. And folks over on the West Coast, they live a very different lifestyle. They're very pedestrian in their living. They can walk to the corner and get fresh flowers, a bottle of wine, and fresh bread. Love it. They can, get up in the morning, they start their day, they go to the gym, they go to work, they come back home, they socialize with friends. There's a lot of living outside of the home. And a lot of that is due to the weather. We're not hunkering down in the winter over here. It's 72 degrees outside right now. You know what I'm saying? So lifestyle is a lot of it. And so you have to learn how to break down a jackfruit. First, you got to identify it. Because that's an ugly thing in the grocery store. That's an ugly thing in the grocery store. And then to think about, oh my God, now I've got to crack this joker. I don't know what's inside. I've never seen this before. So then after you've cracked that thing and you've broken it down and you taste it, you realize, okay, this is a meaty, fleshy thing that will pull out just like pulled pork. I have made faux chicken salad with jackfruit. I've made pulled pork, dropped that over some buttermilk cornbread, and dropped that Phiesty food barbecue sauce. Please, you're not understanding what's going on. And you eat vegan, but you gonna eat today.
Listen, I didn't have you around whenever I tried jackfruit. I bought the package in the store.
Right.
And I go, I don't really know what Chef Cheri is talking about over here. And how quickly can we get her to move down here, because this is not the same. This is not the same. And
right.
And so let me see if I can get some care packages from Chef Cheri on some food, meal prep. We need a meal prep service. And before I even go any further, I mean, I have to say to the world, because you're gonna have people say, oh wait, let me look up what is Phiesty Foods and so forth, and we'll put all the information in the end of the video on how to contact you. However, I do need to put the disclaimer out though. You just can't call Chef Cheri up and
no,
think you're gonna get catering. Don't let her fool you, because we're on the chat, and in the event that you guys are listening in or watching in or whatever it is, that, I mean, again, I did have to preface that I have VIP treatment, because Cheri is my best friend. If not, I probably wouldn't get a catering for 3 years. So, she's being modest, but, she caters to NFL, sports athletes and musicians and city officials and leaders all over the world, and which reminds me, I need to talk to you about doing the catering for my leadership group. So Chef Cheri, we've gone just back so far, and it makes you realize that even your closest friendships are somehow surrounded by food. So can you maybe share just how, I mean, I think people, they got on Zoom and all of that stuff, and then they got crazy, and then they're like, now I'm sick of Zoom. But during this time of pandemic, I mean, have you talked, I mean, it's nothing to pop on a Zoom and just have a conversation, right? Just like we're doing now. And even still, how about, cooking something or talking about food or whatever it is, because again, like you said, it's the thing that warms the belly. And maybe share some things that people can do to still kind of feel connected, and, whether they've gone through some loss, or maybe they've gone through some, difficulty in their lives, how you can connect, these friendships with food right now.
Right. Well, there's this sister circle cake that runs around through an email or a text message. And some of it's I was first introduced to it through Military Wives. So it's a cake that you send broken down in dry ingredient. And it's almost like a chain letter. Okay. Where each person adds an ingredient as they're moving it forward, right? And it's supposed to be enough. Okay, so let's take that pound cake I was talking about before, right? So you're sending the flour. I'm adding the sugar to it. Someone else is adding the this or the that, right? And then when this recipe has finished circulating around, then there's enough that the last person who receives it would then add the wet ingredients, of course, right? Okay. They're going to add the butter. They're going to add the eggs. They're going to add the milk, right? And then it should all pan out where you should get like 10 little mini pound cakes. You know what I'm saying? And then they get sent back around. So there was that that we used to do in some military wife circles. But a lot of times, everybody is a food critic. Everybody loves to cook, except for the ones that feel like it's a chore and it's a mandatory thing. So, people had time. And a lot of folks during the pandemic, they would get on YouTube. There was a craze out here, sweetheart. Everybody on the planet was learning how to make sourdough bread. And I don't know why personally you would put yourself through that. I'm going to tell you the truth. It may have been fun for a moment, but I didn't have any interest in learning how to make sourdough bread. I know where the best sourdough bread is. I will go there and support that business. Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, man. Where is that, by the way? I need to visit that when I come and see you. You probably have too many bakeries.
Listen, shout out to BOUDIN. They make a fantastic sourdough bread here in San Francisco. But given that I live in Oakland, honey, I go to Acme. Just like Roadrunner and Elmer Fudd, I go to Acme, Willie Coyote and Roadrunner. I go to Acme, ACME, Acme Bakery right here in Berkeley. And honey, I get whatever I want, however, in whatever quantity I want. It's fresh every single day. And so that's what I do. But people would get on YouTube and learn how to make different things. I'm a student. Anything that has to do with food, that is creative. I don't care if it's makeup or it's fashion or it's there's a whole series on Netflix about blowing glass, a glass blowing competition, makeup competition. Anything that sparks to me a creative idea, my brain will translate that into food. It could be colors. It could be art. It could be Bob Ross with that little afro, painting something. And I may see some colors and be like, oh, okay, that could translate into, something else. That's just how my brain works. But a lot of times you get on a Zoom. So you call up all your little nieces, right? Your big auntie. You call up your nieces and you say, okay, or you send a text message to their mothers first, because we all know a tore down kitchen it make you mad. But send a text message, send an email, get all these little ingredients, take a sugar cookie recipe, cut it in half. Send it out to all your little nieces and say, okay, next Saturday at 2:00, we're going to get on the Zoom. And you're going to have all your little ingredients together. Have your mommy put each little ingredients in a bowl. We're going to put it on a table, go to the dollar store and get you a cheap little plastic table cover so we're not tearing up nothing. Put that down on the table. And then it's a way to connect and talk to your little nieces and your little nephews and be like, we're going to make cookies, or we're going to, Santa's coming. Have you been good? I'm not sure. Let me see these cookies. Let me see what this looks like. We're going to make these cookies. We're going to put it on a plate. And then maybe you're the big auntie that sent the plate that says cookies for Santa. They make the cookies, put the cookies on the plate, you get your little glass of milk, put it out there on the table, and you've done something interactive with your nieces and nephews. It's a time for you to check in. Are you behaving? How is school going? How do you feel now that the pandemic is, in a different place and you're not isolated at home? Are you making new friends at school? How are you feeling about having to wear your mask in class? I mean, these are just ways that you can link in and you can tie in, check in, see about your people, see about the babies. Because, this whole pandemic, well, that's a whole nother sermon, but, I feel like the babies have just been kind of left last, with the vaccination process and everything. And I think that they've suffered the most because their little tiny minds don't understand what's really going on right now. But that's a simple way. You can make brownies, hell, we could do hot dogs and French fries.
Right,
get your pack of hot dogs together, get your little buns. We're gonna put it in the stove. Mommy and Daddy gonna help you, and we're gonna have hot dogs and French fries and milkshake, and we're gonna check in and see how each other's doing. I mean, It's the simplest, tiniest of little things. You got smaller, tiny ones. Okay, guess what? We're gonna go back to the dollar store and we're gonna get 2 of them little plastic tablecloths, and we're gonna tie one around your neck. Mm-hmm. And the other one we're going to put on the table, and we're going to do peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And we're going to get a little bag of chips. We're going to have 2 cookies because you don't need more than 2. And we're going to talk and check in and see how each other is doing. That's it. Food is the connective tissue that brings people together. You ever notice when you go to a party? I have been to people's home where the house is immaculate. They have strung lights outside. They got a live band in the backyard, and everybody in the damn kitchen with me.
You let people be in the kitchen with you? You always kick me out. How does that work out?
Well, you have to be gracious to some folks. You get what it is. But, some folks, you have to be patient. You have to say, oh, yes, well, I'll be with you momentarily. And then generally, that's when you go get the hostess and say, please get your friends and take them out to the bar. I'll be with you momentarily. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying that people like to gravitate to the kitchen.
It's the safe place.
It's a safe place. It's a warm place. Right. A happy place. Your nana, your grandma, your opa, your grandpa, your aunties, everybody was in the kitchen, and you knew that if they were in the kitchen, they were preparing food. And if they were preparing food, it's because they were meeting a need. Mm-hmm. They were meeting a need. And they're doing it in love. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty powerful. And it's one of the things too that people, they feel like they can help, or that they're needed, or they're kind of, no matter where the kitchen is, they're central to,
no matter where the kitchen is. Because honey, you go to a church and you try to dismiss that little lady in the back who's been fixing Sunday dinner for pastor for the last 30 years. You try to get her to allow you to come in and help. Oh, no, honey. You might as well just put her in the ground now, because that is her service. That's her giving back. That's her tithes and offering. Honey, I've been serving pastor for all it. You don't even know what he like. I'll fix it. I know what the pastor like. Oh, yes. People assign a great amount of giving of themselves through food. Absolutely. Absolutely. As do I. I don't care if it's 3 people in the room. I don't care if it's a private dinner. I don't care if it's 100 people in the room. But that chit chat when they're going through the buffet line that turns to silence when they're sitting at the table. Honey, that is it for me. That is it for me. Because I said, there you go. They're enjoying it. Because if you notice, if people aren't enjoying their food, they're moving around the plate. They're talking this, that, and the other thing. But honey, you can't talk with your mouth full. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to understand what my assignment is. The difference between your gifts, your talents, and your skills, and how to convert and converge them into something that actually allows you to have a living. But I'm having a living in a time period where I'm able to do what I want to do, how I want to do it.
Well,
And it's
that's
always different and fun and creative because no two parties will ever be the same.
That would be the same. Yeah,
It'll never be the same. It's always something different. Always
yeah.
something different.
You know, a 6-year-old birthday party. It's like you get into character. You got the colors, you got the everything from, okay, this is what a 6-year-old might think and do. And from that perspective, you're always putting yourself there for the customer. And, you know, I equate it because, you know, my son at 11 years old thinks, you know, oh no, shrimp is just not shrimp. I'm not even going to eat it unless it's from Chef Cheri because she has this magical shrimp from California.
You know, I
And
love Austin.
again, you know, you put yourself in that and you knew, you know, how to sell it, how to serve it, and all of those things. And which is key. I mean, you do a lot of catering now, and you know, you become like the doctors and hospitals and nurses, you know, caterer of choice, and the universities and things like that. I know you do a lot with the associations and the larger groups, but for the healthcare professionals and the doctors, you know, I mean, they're just like, where's Chef Cheri at? And you know, even the friends when I was a basketball coach is like, hey, where's that chef at? That, I mean, that was so good. But tell me, you know, again, I mean, that's a wonderful thing, especially right now, because you know, hospitals and places are looking.
Yeah, they're taking it. They are taking it. They are taking it. They are taking it like that. Weevils wobble, but they don't fall down. I mean, they're blow after blow, night after night after night after night. And one coming from the healthcare profession, because, you know, as you know, I was a pharmacy tech in the United States Army, and then that turned into, you know, doing nuclear medicine, chemo IV therapies, you know, working in heart towers. And so when you have to think, when you have to use your brain because it is life and death, you must be alert. You have to be keen. Your brain has to be able to think. You can't do that tired, depleted, dehydrated, stressed out. It's awful. It's just awful. And so to my doctors, I have an aunt that was a career nurse. My sister is a cardiac nurse in Augusta, Georgia. You are a nurse. There are just far too many people that I know in healthcare that I love and care about, where I have a upfront personal understanding of what that is. So clam chowder at 3 a.m., wafting through the ward, it's in the staff room. When you get a second, when you answer that call bell, when you have finished with that patient, when you have dumped that bedpan, when you have given the last rounds of meds for the night, go in there, get you something warm, take 5 minutes. And people don't understand, 5 minutes is nothing, but in a hospital, 5 minutes is everything. 5 minutes is the difference between coming and going, living and dying. 5 minutes. And so if you can take just a quick 5 minutes, not for no cigarette, not to go pee, but if you can take 5 minutes just to go and sit down for 2 minutes and have something warm. I don't care if it's warm. I don't care if it's cold. It doesn't matter if it's sweet or sour, or it's the sweet and the salt, because those two are sitting right there on your tongue palate together. And so that's that juxtaposition that we love so much. If you could just take a few minutes and get something in your belly, it says two things to you. Okay. And somebody cares about me. That's it. You can kind of push that reset button and you can go, all right, now let me think. And then let me get back at it. Let's go back to it. Let's go back to it. Because, you know, in the hospital, where that's your entire profession, is caring about other people. That's how I was able to make such an easy transition, because I went from a recipe in a pharmacy, an aluminum airflow hood, for healing, to recipes out of my grandmother, my mother, my own cookbook that do the same thing. Mine are going to be emotional. Mine are going to be mental. It might be physical, just depending upon the number of pounds that you pack on. But, by the same token, it is good for the mind, the body, and the spirit. So when you can help out, you do.
Yeah.
So
why do you think, what gave you your feistiness, and what gave you that desire to just make food your service? What made you, I understand the story of how you got into catering, but what makes you still do that every day? Because it's not always the glory, people see the end result and so forth, but they don't see the preparation, from 5 days, ahead of time, or, the cutting out of things. And ultimately, what makes you keep going?
Well, again, you hate to say it, you really do hate to say it, but it's just a matter of fact. I really do enjoy what it is that I do. I get to party in a social environment. It's a controlled environment, because I don't have to be interactive with the guests unless I choose to. But I still get to be there and see and do and look at and observe everything that's going on. But I also get to take absolutely an empty space and transform it into an entire event. I absolutely believe in giving you the best bang for your buck. Mm-hmm. The best bang for your buck. And, you hear a lot of athletes saying, hey, I know what my jersey's worth. Well, you're right. I know what my apron is worth, because your friends are going to talk about this event. And at the end of the day, what is it? You're celebrating your birthday. You want your friends to come out and have a good time and celebrate the fact that you have turned whatever that magical number for you is that has caused you to have this grand affair, right? So you want your friends to come out and celebrate with you. Okay, well, I want to make sure that all the bases are covered. What is your color scheme? Mm-hmm. Do you have a DJ? You don't? Okay, I have several in multiple genres. Is this a secular party or is this a Christian party? I have DJs for both. I have wait staff. Are we going to do Swiss service? Is this going to be a formal event? Or you want to do backyard barbecue style? I can meet you where you are. You just need to tell me what you want to do. Do you have a photographer? Is your wait staff covered? Okay. Are you valeting at this, or are they just going to find parking wherever it is? Because honey, in California, that's a whole job by itself, just to park your car. But, I just want to make sure that you have everything that you need. Are you using the bar at the club? Do they have a full kitchen? If they don't have a full kitchen, do I have to be field expedient? Am I going to have to come in there with my bucket of hot water, which is mandatory hot water and soap, and set it up? Or what are we doing? What would you like to do? And so quite oftentimes when I'm talking to a client, what I say to them, if it's an event, now, practicality is practicality. In a hospital, you don't care about none of that. You want some food that you can eat. You can eat it when you need to, and it needs to be hot for the next, 5-6 hours, whatever dinner shift may be covered. Right. But if you're doing an event, then I want to talk to you. And so the first thing that I say to my clients is, be a guest at your event and go from the door to the end of the night and tell me what you expect. Because if you're not a guest at your own party, then you don't know what type of experience that is that you're creating for your guests, because you're the host. You're going to be all over the place. You're not going to remember half the things, which is why a photographer is key. You want to party and celebrate and have a good time, which is why a DJ is key. You want to make sure that the food is good, which is why you call me. And you're not going to eat, which is really why you call me. Because I am the person who's going to make your plate first, and it's going to be tucked away so that the next day, when you have woken up from that family event in whatever state you may be in, you can put that plate on your chest, get a fork in one hand and the remote in the other, and go, damn, I had a good time.
Yep.
And it's good to, and you're good to go. And you're good to go. So I think those are just the little things, because it's people do it all the time. You go somewhere, they order in some food, it comes in a shafer, they throw it out there. Who cares if the stoner went out 2 hours ago or not? Who cares if the food
Right.
who cares if the food is still cold or or hot, still hot when your guests come in, and two, you have to know your audience.
Right.
There's
Right.
a section of people that will show up on time. And when they show up on time, the first thing they want to do is eat. And they have showed up on time because they already know coming to the party that if they want the good food and they don't want
They
the food,
better go. Right.
they better
Right.
get there first.
Right.
Okay. But then there are others of us who love to roll in. We had to pregame at the house, and we had a couple of drinks. We had to check and see who all was going to be there and who all is coming and all of the rest of that. And so then they show up at 10 o'clock. Well, if food service started at 8, but it's 10 o'clock now, for the money that you paid me, that chicken better be hot at 10 o'clock.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is, better be just the same at 10 o'clock as it was at 8 o'clock for your guests. That's just part of good service.
Right.
So, but I like it because I'm always an attendee at this event. And we all know nobody is going to say, baby, were you at Tanika's party? Ciao. Tanika didn't. No, they'll say none of that. What they will say,
that food was on point. That was some good food.
Right. They're going to say that because, a party lives or dies by the caterer. People will dance, people will drink, but honey, let that food be bad.
Right.
We've been to those parties. Let that food not be right. The first thing, who did this? Who was that? Okay, you can't talk about me like that. Right. I won't have it. I won't have it. So
that's part of what's really that's what's amazing about you and Phiesty Foods is, and I made a point a long time ago. Somebody I heard everyone somewhere say, spend your money on experiences and not things.
Right.
And so that's exactly what you're getting you're getting the experience. And I've had a few of those plates tucked away, and I'm like, hold up a minute, who ate all the? And here's Chef Cheri like, oh no, I made you a plate. And it's like you're just sitting there dreaming, but you've got this plate ready for you.
Yes.
And then you go, oh, okay.
Yes.
Not only did your guests have an amazing time, because we all know how that is. It's like they ate all of it. And that's how you know it's good. That's how you know it's good when there's
that's the goal. That's the goal.
People say that's how you know it's good when it's all gone, but you know it's good when you have leftovers. That's how you know it's good.
When that plate is tucked away, she loves me. She loves me. She loves me.
Yeah. So, but I think that's one thing that people can really say, especially that are listening and watching, that life is something that we really just can't take for granted. And friendships you can network with business colleagues all day long, and that's what we do. We network and we foster these friendships. But true friendships are ones that we can just pop on a call this way. And people are like, why in the world are we, sitting and chatting with the chef? Or why are we? Well, I mean, not only is the chef amazing and cater to those that are out there putting their lives out on the pandemic.
Right.
People calling me now, hey, how do I get a hold of that chef? And I'm like, hold on a minute. And still, from preparing the food and setting up and decorating too. I think I got a picture of you somewhere in my drinking moonshine or something, but maybe I shouldn't say that on
Well, you
live.
know, everybody's grown. Everybody, I know I am. Everybody's grown.
I
So,
didn't dare go. I didn't dare go by the moonshine. By the way, let's just make a
right,
note of
right.
that.
Let's
So,
be clear.
but
Right, right.
but yeah, I think
But for those that
that was my
indulge,
favorite picture, and it's just again that experience. And we've said some words, and you've said some things like comfort and warmth. And even feisty in itself. I mean, this is kind of that time where life is just, it is too short. Do what
right,
it is that you want to do and enjoy the people that you are with, and really you touched on being intentional and being
yes,
fully present with the people that you care about. And even
right,
if it's just 2 minutes,
right,
and we
right.
all get busy in schedules. Everyone knows I'm queen of busy schedule, but when you are intentional, as you
Right,
say, it
right.
doesn't even matter. I mean, I think I probably get on the phone with you and talk for like 2 hours. Like, I got 10
Yes,
minutes and that's it. And it's
right.
like 2 hours later, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I just missed
yeah.
like
Because
all of these
you gotta
things.
check in. You gotta touch
Yeah,
bases. You
yeah,
gotta you gotta make sure your people are good.
yeah,
People that you care about. Yeah, it does. And there have been plenty of times because there's so many things that you want to touch on right quick. Now, granted, no, we can't have a 2-hour conversation every day,
right,
but when it's time to check in, you have to be purposeful. I
right.
think you have to be purposeful with your time. And to your point, it's not everybody that's going to get a 2-hour phone call because, baby, I got stuff to do.
Right, right. And
So,
I know our
right,
time today is even
right.
short. We got to pop off here in a minute, but what are the things what things like do you absolutely say, no, I'm not making that, or I hate making it? And what's your favorite?
Okay. Well, something that was difficult for me. Because of who I am. I did a birthday party for a lady. It was a private dinner for two, her husband. And she said, he doesn't do any form of dairy, but I want him to have cheesecake. I said, what are some other things that he may want to have? And she said, oh, well, he loves red velvet cake. I said, okay. And I said, but that has a cream cheese frosting.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, let me sleep on it. Let me have a glass of wine. Let me think. Let me work with it. Let me go to grocery stores and touch some stuff. And I found a vegan cream cheese. So I said, baby, here we go. Right. So I whipped up my cream cheese frosting using the vegan cream cheese, and his favorite color is blue. So I did a blue velvet cheesecake. I mean, a blue velvet cake for him with the cream cheese frosting. This event was in San Jose. I live in Oakland. So let's say maybe there was an hour in travel time.
Okay.
I was not home. I was still on the highway. And a picture popped up on my phone where they had cut his birthday cake.
Oh,
and
man.
He was fork to mouth and I was tickled pink. So, it's those things. But, I won't say that I don't like to do it. I think that I may be resistant because, everything that requires a little bit of change or a little bit effort. But then again, there are other times where I'll then go, okay, and I'll be in the kitchen and, experimenting. Well, let's see how this will come out, or let's see what this may taste like if we put this with this, So, but my favorite thing, hands down, and it's been a big hit out here because, we have a very dense Asian population, but I do a collard green egg roll that will kill somebody because I cook down my collard greens. Sometimes I do it in smoked turkey. Sometimes I do it in ham hocks. Just depends on, who the audience is. And then I roll up these egg rolls with collard greens and fry them up beautifully crisp. And I have a sweet chili sriracha sauce that I make, so that, it's akin to putting hot sauce or chow chow on your collard greens, so that you have that spice bite on it. And it's a big party favorite. It's a big hit. It's one of my best selling appetizers. People absolutely love it. So part of the whole feisty food thing is that I like to take traditional things and twist them up a little bit, serve it to you maybe in a way that you haven't had it before. Or, because, you've got beef, chicken, pork, lamb, how many different ways are you going to eat that? There's 365 days in a year, and we got to eat every day. So, you don't have the same thing all the time. So I just try to twist it up and serve it in a different way. Serve it some way you may not have expected to have it.
Right, but do you see my face right now? 'Cause there you go,
but
talking
I love
about
you.
those collard green egg rolls.
That's all right. I'm coming. I'm making them fresh. The minute I get there, we're gonna turn that fryer on, and we're gonna use some rice oil, or we might use some grapeseed oil, but we're going to use a very, very healthy oil, and we're going to fry those collard green egg rolls just for you. I promise.
Fair enough. You don't forget the shrimp from California and the,
right.
The bread from Acme. Don't forget.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. But here's the thing, though. What's the one thing that I'm like, no matter if we're having like Italian, am I going to say, Chef Cheri, are you making, what am I always requesting? And you're like, that doesn't go.
Well, I am structured about my plate. This is
not a barbecue. Like doesn't go.
Right. I'm gonna say the potato salad or that cornbread. That's what I'm gonna say.
The potato salad, definitely.
Yes, because that potato salad hit you on that first. I think it was a recruiting barbecue.
Yeah, just like, come on in. Just this. I feel like that was a test. One of my first interactions. First of all, the very first recruiting trip. I mean, let's just go back to the fact that it was like, oh yeah, come on in. I'm just cooking a little something. And I mean, you came out with like the whole cow steaks, and it was just like, I was like, yeah, really don't. You're like, oh no, come on over here and eat this steak. I mean, I don't think I left a bite on the steak.
And the 3 different cheesecakes.
And the 3 different cheesecakes. And at that time, I mean, I could definitely not afford to put on another pound. But I think before I left your house, I might have put on at least 10. And, what's so crazy is that, like, that was the neighborhood place. And, like, all the neighborhood kids are like, oh, what y'all having for dinner? And it was like the whole neighborhood. And then the second time was like, oh, yeah, it's a family bar. Come on. And I mean, that thing right there, I haven't looked at, barbecue chicken. And that's the problem. I was on your Instagram and saw that barbecue chicken.
Oh, okay. And, right.
But yeah, it's like, come on in. And, it's like you hit the potato salad. It's like, oh, man, what? And
well, honey, my mother was there.
Back like somebody, you kind of look back like I don't even know why. Like, is somebody looking like, what? Where does this come from? You got to get that. That's how you know it's good. And then, all the other, yeah, come on, let me fix your plate. And I'm already doomed.
Absolutely.
I'm already doomed because it's like, and I'm sitting here saying, well, she fixed it. I need to go ahead and eat all of it. I mean, it was just like, you had the fried cabbage. I mean, that was, man, I'm getting hungry. It was like, and no wonder why she has to keep me around is because the cooking is so good. but it was just you welcomed me, and the centerpiece of all of that is always a home for people to come, and always a gathering for family and friends, and even the ones you've probably been feeding for 10 years still
just
coming.
A little Southern hospitality, you know. That's what we do. We might not be able to give you a lot, but when you leave my house, you know that I fed you, we loved on you a little bit, and now you should be able to go on your way knowing that, you know, somebody cared about you. Somebody cared about you.
Yeah, and I like that. And, you know, as we wrap up, I think when they see that feisty fork and they see that on even if it's a to-go container of something that you've prepped, they very well feel that, you know. And I can say that I can echo that just in our friendship as well, is that it's very much felt. And, you know, I'm just grateful to have you and
as am I.
Yeah, as am I. And I am just, you know, saying, okay, world, go ahead and hold on a second, though. We need to get this straight. You know, don't be booking all these caterers. I got to book my stuff 2 years in advance.
Well, you know, you get first right of refusal. You know,
I appreciate that.
You know,
I need to
first right of
remember
refusal.
Research needs to be in person.
Right. Yes. Understood. We're very clear.
From now on, research needs to be in person.
Yes.
You know,
yes. I'm going to come into that lovely test kitchen that you have.
Okay.
And we're going to get it together. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I do have a few new tricks up my sleeve I want to run by you and the family. Because I know y'all will be honest.
Right, and that barbecue sauce, we need to send a link there. And that thing, are you even keeping it in stock? Or how's that going?
Well, I'm batching it up, and it goes out more so through the summertime.
Of anything you want to just, you know, share with everyone, or just say, we'll make sure we put your contact stuff there, that we'll put all your social media and so forth, especially hospitals, nurses, doctors, and all healthcare workers, especially right now, trying to do things to help their staff and feel inclusive and feel that in home and feel like family. I know that they're booking you up.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my sister. Hello to the family, and absolutely to you and your team. Thank you for this outstanding opportunity. I really appreciate it.
You're always welcome, and we'll see how quickly we can get you back.
Absolutely. Much love.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.